For more on this, we cross now to Mr. Nivesh Govender, who is the Chief Operating Officer at the South African Photovoltaic Industry Association. Very good evening to you, sir. Perhaps let's start with the most obvious question as to who you are as the Photovoltaic Association, who you represent and what you do.
Good evening, Tammy, and thank you for having me. As you've introduced, I'm Nivesh Govender. I'm the CEO of SAPIA. SAPIA is an industry association, a non-for-profit industry association representing just under 400 companies through the value chain of solar PV here in South Africa.
And your reaction to the President's announcement last night?
Yes, indeed. I think that the President must have been extremely stressed trying to balance out the response to COVID-19 and the pandemic and balancing this with the country's economic recovery. There were 7 key points that we've taken out of the President's speech yesterday. Number 1 is the rapidly expand energy generation capacity. And this is additional to Eskom generation. And I think the key word here is rapidly. We need to see a lot more energy come online a lot quicker. The second point he spoke about was the risk mitigation emergency round procurement and the announcement of the preferred bidders. And I think this will give us insight into what technologies are available, at what cost, and how long it will take for them to come online. Point number 3 he made was municipal procurement from IPPs. So we now have a policy that says we can, but there's still no systems and processes in place for municipalities to be able to procure energy from IPPs. He spoke about the 11,800 megawatts, and we've heard this all before in the IRP 2019. 2 years later, we haven't really seen any movement on it, so we're happy to see that we will be getting new procurement rounds for this. He spoke about the 4,000 to 6,000 megawatt shortfall over the next 5 years, and this is due to coal plants' end of life. And I think it's a good time for us to reflect on, instead of waiting to repurpose and repower these coal-fired plants, what are the technologies do we have available to fill this shortfall as we are in an energy crisis and it is becoming difficult for South Africans? Point number 6 is the renewable energy IPP procurement program. He announced that bid window 5 is around the corner, bid window 6 we'll see in August. So back-to-back procurement gives good investment confidence for those bringing renewable energy power plants online. And the last one, I think, which is the most important one, is the easing of license requirements for embedded generation. And this could unlock about 5,000 megawatts of additional capacity. And he's given 3 months to amend the Schedule 2 to increase the license threshold. This itself is actually 2 instructions. One to the Minister of Energy, saying that we need to amend the Electricity Regulation Act, the Schedule 2 particularly, to increase those thresholds, and 2 to NERSA to make sure that the licensing requirements are eased so these projects can come online a lot quicker.
Now, I must say, Mr. Govender, that perhaps a lot of South Africans are wondering, this 11,800 megawatts, will this be enough to stop the load shedding that we are experiencing?
Yes and no. So yes, the 11,800 megawatts will in terms of long-term planning, but it depends how quickly we can bring those megawatts online. We currently have a shortfall of between 4,000 and 6,000 megawatts. There's no new generation capacity filling that gap now. It's going to take us a good 3 to 5 years to procure that 11,800 megawatts, and that's why you would have heard yesterday in SONA that he said that we could look forward to load shedding over the next 5 years. There are other mechanisms like the embedded generation space that could fill that gap in the short term.
And why has it taken so long for government to actually open up the industry, so to speak, and allow independent power generators to become part of the solution?
You know, we've heard this in SONA 2020 of this plan for renewable energy. We're hearing it again now in SONA 2021. I believe that the president has given clear marching orders, and it's now up to the cabinet ministers and their departments to implement this. And I do understand that departments have to follow due process to ensure that this is done properly. But I think that we could do this a lot quicker.
And is there financial support for independent power producers in order to capacitate yourselves to be able to fulfill the role that you now have and the gap that has been opened for you?
Indeed, investment is easily available for clean energy, renewable energy, whether it be foreign direct investment, whether it be lenders' interest in renewable energy, there is sufficient finance to fund this. And of course, not at the expense of the South African citizen.
And what type of an energy mix would you be proposing?
We are in line with the IRP 2019 energy mix. So the mix proposed in that IRP is a good mix, we believe, with renewable energy, some natural gas, some battery storage, even a little bit of coal to stabilize the system.
As far as coal is concerned, there are efforts to start decreasing the use of coal and reducing that. Will we ever reach a point where a coal is a thing of the past?
Hopefully so. So yesterday we saw the recommitment of the president to the Paris Agreement. And he also spoke about Eskom's flight to net zero by 2050. So I do think that we will see coal decline and renewable energy starting to take over that space.
Mr. Govender, thank you so much for your time and your insight this evening. That's Mr. Nivesh Govender. He is the Chief Operating Officer at the South African Photovoltaic Industry Association.